What totally random thing did your parents not let you do when you were younger? No soda, no cable, no black friends. Oh, those Asian parents. You will not be gay, date black guys, or drink soda, you hear me? Go do your homework. That was literally something my dad said to me. I'm black and most of my friends were Asian when I was younger. All those times my friend wasn't allowed to come out and play now makes sense. Not me, but a friend wasn't allowed to watch Winnie the Pooh because his mom thought it was freaking stupid. I still think about how weird funny this was. To be fair, he is self-admittedly a bear of very little brain. I wasn't allowed to watch MTV. Between me and my brother we cracked the passcode for the satellite box and watched Beavis and Butthead when they were out of the house. My parents had a filter put on the line for just the channel. Caught a lot of heck for that from my friends. I wasn't allowed to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because Splinter would meditate. Meditation was practiced by Eastern religions, and Eastern religions were of the devil. I couldn't listen to Metallica because they used the same drum beats that witch doctors from Africa used to talk to the dead. I wish I were making this stuff up. My parents told me that plain yogurt was actually ice cream. Those bastards didn't even have the common courtesy to get me vanilla yogurt. It wasn't until I went to my first birthday party in 4th grade that I found out what ice cream really was. I cried the entire way home mourning all the wasted years. Hopefully you killed your parents shortly after. Mine refused to let me buy moon shoes because they told me I might jump too far and lose my balance, possibly ending up with my face in the fireplace. That was literally what they told me. Mine refused to let me buy moon shoes because I did not have a spacesuit and they did not want me to die on the moon, My limits were all pretty normal. However, I was always given options to exceed them. 1. If I didn't want to use proper table manners I could go eat on our front porch with no utensils. I did this often. 2. If I didn't do my dishes they would be put into my bed. 3. If I wasn't up at a reasonable hour I would have water thrown on me. After this though, I could remain in bed thoroughly wet. Lots of other similar things. At least the water would have cleaned the dishes for you. Sleep over at a friend's house or even have a friend stay overnight at our place. My first sleepover wasn't until I started college. I had a few friends who couldn't have sleepovers. I never heard a straightforward reason why, but there was definitely one kid whose parents would let him have sleepovers with girls, but not guys, because guys experiment at sleepovers. I wish I were kidding. Circa 12 years old. Ugh. Reading through these comments reminded me of my cousin. He went to his first day of kindergarten and got picked on. His mom yanked him out of school and proceeded to homeschool him until he got his GED. He is not allowed to ride in a car unless his mom was driving. He can't spend the night at anyone's house, including family members, specifically grandparents. He can't go anywhere with his dad. Keep in mind, his mom and dad are happily married. When it was time for college, his mom took every single class he took. She volunteered at the fire department with him. She got him kicked out of the fire department. He can't get a job until he gets his license. He can't get his license until he gets a job. He can't take driver's ed. She shaves his butt for him. He's 23 and won't move out. All the fine ingredients for a serial killer. Number one thing I can remember that I'm still pee about is when Jumanji first came out and they had the board game for it. I wanted that thing so bad, but my mom refused because she thought the stuff in the movie might actually happen for real. Reality, she didn't want to buy the dang thing for you and came up with a bull's excuse that you seem to still believe. My parents refused to order Domino's pizza despite my begging for a change from the regular Little Caesars Pizza Hut. Now, I later found out their boycott was based on the CEO or pres of Domino's being uber Catholic and giving a cut of each order to some pro-life charity. My little 5-year-old brain wasn't ready for a topic as complex as abortion, so they just said we can't eat there because they give money to Hitler. One of my co-workers, nicest guy that could be, is not allowed to have a Facebook profile. By word of his wife, she, BTW, has her FB profile. Probably afraid he'll look up old flames and cheat on her while she's cheating on him. Also, PTSH, PTSH. That's the sound of a whip. PTSH. I was raised by a paranoid drug addict and a clinically depressed blind woman, so let my list begin. Watch cartoons, play video games, associate with public school kids, listen to unapproved music, leave the property without a family member, friends' parents were not acceptable, drink soda, wear tank tops, wear makeup, wear flip-flops, answer the door, answer the phone, and others that I am too sleepy and happy to bother remembering. No Star Wars, understandable for a 5-6-year-old I suppose, but now I have an 8-year-old brother who's a huge Star Wars fan, seen all the movies, has video games and all that. The frick's that about? They love him more than you. I was constantly chastised by my parents for always going swimming and staying in the sun for long because, and I quote, you will get black. You'll catch the black, and once you go black, you'll never go back. One time I sawed a large hole in my wall so that I could access the crawl space via my own secret door. I also installed a ladder outside my window so that I could easily climb up to the roof. Another time I tried removing all of the carpet and replacing it with sand. These types of activities angered my parents. I'm not sure why. I wasn't allowed to skip out on pronouncing my GS. So no goin', levin, or eatin'. For me, they didn't want me to develop an accent. So they made you develop an accent instead. No toy guns or swords. However, our next door neighbor had heaps of sweet plastic weapons, so my brother and I would just go over there all the time. My brother was not allowed to play dress ups or Barbie with me. No watching the teenagers TV shows that came on at 5 PM. Because once I watched one and some kids were passing around a cigarette. I was not allowed to go socialize with my friends at high school football games when I was in 8th grade. I had to stay in my seat the whole game. I don't think my dad knew what high school football games were all about. I wasn't allowed to listen to Michael Jackson's Thriller album because my dad thought that he was, and I quote, a F. You can't watch that 70s show. But why? They're only sitting in their basement and talking. UHH. I grew up and discovered marijuana. I was allowed to watch that show and I only just realized they were smoking pot about 6 months ago. I'm 23 colon. I couldn't stay out past 10:30 until I graduated from high school. Wasn't allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy, The Simpsons or Beavis and Butthead. Was invited to a friend's bat mitzvah but couldn't attend for fear of conversion. Wasn't allowed to drink coffee. You know that song West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys? Yeah, couldn't listen to that song because of the lyrics. That's how the Jews get ya. Back when I was 9, a childhood friend of mine once said to me and our other friends that his dad told him that he was too young to do gay stuff. We gave him crap for that for the longest time. I haven't seen him in a while. He might be doing gay stuff now. I love threads like these because I realize how relatively normal my parents are. I think I'll call my parents in the morning. Fortunately, my parents divorced when I was an infant, so I missed most of the insanity, but my father wouldn't let my older sisters see Grease because it was immoral. He also made them get up and do Chairman Mao exercises every morning, and would put yogurt and wheat germ on everything they ate. Everything. I hope you actually grew up in China if dad made you do Mao exercises. I created a Reddit account just for this story. When I was about 6, I loved honeycomb ice cream. Mum would buy it and I'd devour half the tub in one sitting. One day I'm headed for the fridge and my mum says you can't have honeycomb ice cream anymore. So I ask why and she replies because you're allergic to yellow. Fast forward 8 years. In that time I've avoided anything yellow. No yellow Skittles, no Mountain Dew, no yellow bananas or lemons or anything remotely shaded yellow. I was 6 and stupid, and for some reason it never occurred to me to question my newfound allergy. After all, you trust your mum, right? Anyway, now I'm 14 and I bring my schoolgirls home to visit one day. Lo and behold, there's honeycomb ice cream. My friends dig in and ask why I am not having any, so I remind them about the yellow allergy thing. My mum is bringing in the laundry and overhears. She butts in with, "Oh, I said that ages ago because I didn't want you to have it then. But you can have it now." Needless to say, I love my mum very much, but I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her. Wear jeans. pants. I guess when I was in elementary, my mom bought us stretch pants because she thought they were more comfortable, but I somehow thought jeans were against our religion or something. No sugary drinks after 6 p.m. Later boosted to 7 p.m. in my teenage years because they give you trouble sleeping. I used to stay up for hours, 2-3, as a kid trying to fall asleep. I still have slight insomnia. I tried stress relief and guided meditation relaxation to fall asleep during college, but I discovered the secret just last year. Now it only takes about an hour of Who's Line, WLIIA, to put me to sleep like a baby. And yes, I've seen, or heard, just about every episode so that I know them, but I still enjoy them. Whoa, I thought I had strict parents growing up, but after reading some of these posts I am actually pretty content with how I was raised. One thing that freaking annoys me, I am 20 years old and in college. If I come home and go out with friends, my dad will wait up for me until I get home and then look at me all passive aggressively pee off that I didn't come home until 2 a.m. but not really say anything. He is kind of a weird guy. Seems nonsensical at the time, but we weren't allowed to wear just socks. Stains them. My neighbors got in trouble for not wearing socks if they didn't have shoes on. Feet had to stay warm. I was a little jealous. Play Warcraft. Not the MMO, the RTS. Told me it was devil worship, which they derived from the manual or some crap. I don't know. I was allowed to watch MTV, but only one video per hour. I followed that rule even when I was alone. Also, I popped in a tape in my grandmother's car. She asked what it was, and when I told her Ozzy Osbourne, she flipped her crap. I tried to explain that there was nothing wrong with the song. Lita Ford duet, and she says that's how they get you. One nice song gets you to buy the tape, then all the other songs teach you how to worship Satan. I never did learn to properly worship Satan. My mom would not let my twin sister and I look at our high school age brother's friends with facial piercings when we were younger. It was not like sending us away would make us forget. My dad thought floppy disks were a-okay, but literally said that CD-ROMs were satanic. Thus, I was only allowed to play disc-based computer games. I remember that I loved Prince of Persia, The Shadow and the Flame, and was allowed to play it, having installed it off of like 7 floppy disks. I wanted to play the first Prince of Persia, and the only way to get it for a Power Mac was on a CD-ROM that had both Pop and Pop 2, The Shadow and the Flame. When that disc arrived, my dad broke it in half because it was from the devil, even though it was identical software to the floppy disk version, with which he took no issue. A few months ago my siblings and I were laughing about this, and reminded him. He doesn't remember this chapter, and said it never happened, but oh man, it did. It's so suruded lol. My parents were hippies when they were younger, very free-spirited and laid back. I never got grounded and was pretty much allowed to do whatever I wanted, within reason. I love them for that. I wasn't allowed to have Barbie dolls with feet shaped like they would fit inside high-heeled shoes. My collection was limited to Pocahontas and bike riding Barbie. My mom would never let me open the car window all the way. She was afraid a tire will fly in and kill you. She also used to tell me not to look at a microwave as it's heating. Your food might explode and it will kill you. My mom, she's gotten slightly more lax since I got older and not Christian. Fortunately, my dad and my grandpa, who I would often stay with, weren't quite as insane. If nothing else, she only taught me how to avoid getting caught breaking rules. Couldn't stay up past 9 on school days. Rarely could pass 10 otherwise. Couldn't give away any yitty hint of information on the internet for sake of paranoia. While it's generally good advice, I wasn't even supposed to tell anyone my first name. Couldn't have friends over, though this one was mainly because the house was always a mess. Couldn't listen to almost any music. The general rule of thumb was that if it had a beat it was out. No rock, no pop, and most definitely no metal. Couldn't watch movies or play video games that had any element of fantasy. No Legend of Zelda because it had witchcraft. No Final Fantasy. I never did get to watch Disney movies as a kid, and I'd suspect it was for the same reason. Lord of the Rings was okay. Chronicles of Narnia were barely okay. No murder simulators. RTS war games were somehow fine. But FPS games were pretty much totally off limits. She said I'd be disowned if I ever played Dungeons and Dragons. She wouldn't allow me to watch a movie without first checking some thorough report of it on the internet to verify that there was no magic, minimal violence, no language, and absolutely no bare skin. Whenever I got sick and stayed home from school, I would be extremely lucky to be able to do anything but lay in bed. If I wasn't going to be in school, I was going to be sitting on my butt doing nothing. Same with church. I wasn't allowed to go on any website not pre-approved by her. I wasn't allowed to go on the internet at all without her permission. No Halloween. She was sure to let me know that masturbation was also against her rules. In her words, if you don't want me to know you're doing it, then you shouldn't be. Wasn't allowed to play rough with male friends, for risk of coming across as gay. Got scolded anytime I failed to hold the door open for someone, even if they were definitely out of the range of holding the door right now is courteous. Got ranted at for questioning idiotic rules. If I told her she's wrong about something, anything, even when politely and properly argued, got grounded. Not allowed to do anything or go anywhere at all without a chaperone. Most television shows were not allowed. Almost all the TV I saw as a kid was either the History Channel or Lifetime. During high school, any quarter grade below a B was forbidden. I had complete control over my parents. That is, they couldn't stop me from doing things. Although there are things I've done that I haven't told them about. I sometimes wonder how I would have turned out if I had real parents. If you're sick on Friday, you can't do anything fun that weekend. Seriously, no going out with friends or anything. Probably why I have few friends or any desire to socialize now. Huh. Jokes on you parents. I don't need people. No Pokemon cards or magic cards. No TV for quite a while either. Also, very limited video games. My dad wouldn't let us play at all, but my mom let us play for half an hour a week. Wasn't allowed to watch this show called VR Troopers, Power Rangers knockoff, because my parents thought it would make me violent, yet I was allowed to play Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. Go figure. My mom would not let me wear a ring or a necklace because she said they were only for girls. Really, it made absolutely no sense because she and my father are not religious, are academics, and are Democrat voters. Eventually, I had an exchange student girlfriend from Germany and she gave me a ring to remind me of her, and I told my mom I wasn't taking it off. I wasn't allowed to play Dungeons and Dragons. I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. We had a second phone line that was for the internet and BBS's only. My father installed a switch to disconnect the phone line inside a locked box outside the house. Every night at 10 PM my mother would go outside and turn off the internet. I would just wait for them to fall asleep and then switch to the main line. Now that's some hacking. I was not allowed to own a console until my later teen years with my own funds, which only led me to pursue PC gaming. But fair enough, a PC does way more than any console yet. I was not allowed to hold my fork in my right hand or use it with the tines pointing up. For small veggies like peas I had to push it onto the back of my fork with my knife. Potatoes helped them stick. It seemed random at the time, but now I understand why and I'm glad they did it. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.